we've got our first official poll for the 2024 presidential election coming in today for both the Democrats and the Republicans. Voters were asked to choose between 15 hypothetical candidates for both primary elections, and here are the results on the Democratic side. California Senator Kamala Harris and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo are in a tie atop the field with 18% each. Harris, who ran back in 2020, saw her campaign come to a surprising end before the primaries even began. She is expected to announce her candidacy sometime early next year, while Cuomo, who gained national popularity over his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic back in 2020, is expected to announce around the same time as well. The 33-year-old congresswoman from New York and progressive social media superstar Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez came in third, garnering 14% of support among Democratic voters. The progressive faction of the Democratic Party, which soared under Bernie Sanders' 2016 and 2020 campaigns, becoming a political strength the party has been unable to ignore over the past few years, will be looking to coalesce around one candidate at some point during the primary season, and Cortez could very well be the candidate. She'll turn 35 just a few weeks before the election in 2024, and she is yet to give any indication on whether or not she'll run this early on in her political career. Cortez is trailed by the rising star of the 2020 Democratic primaries and former mayor of South Bend, Pete Buttigieg, at 12%, and progressive Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, both of whom won delegates in the 2020 Democratic primaries before eventually dropping out and endorsing Joe Biden. In the next group of 5 candidates, we have California Governor Gavin Newsom at 9%, who, similarly to Andrew Cuomo, gained national prominence over his leadership of the country's largest state through the pandemic. Famous for his progressive agenda as mayor of San Francisco in the early 2000s, Newsom could become a formidable voice for progressive ideas if he is to enter the race. At 6%, we have both voting rights activist Stacey Abrams and Massachusetts Senator Joe Kennedy III. Two young and popular faces in the party, Abrams, the former minority leader in the Georgia House of Representatives and champion for voting rights in Georgia and across the country, is rumored to be contemplating a presidential bid as we speak. Kennedy, on the other hand, serving as the junior senator from Massachusetts since 2021, has been consistently lauded as the future of the Democratic Party. He's followed by Andrew Yang, a popular 2020 candidate among younger demographics, who single-handedly gave the idea of universal basic income national attention in that primary cycle. And coming in finally at 2% is Governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. And moving on to the Republican side of the poll. No surprise, we have Vice President Mike Pence leading the pack at 24%, followed by former governor of South Carolina and former ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, at 13%. Haley is an early favorite for the nomination, having been on everybody's radar since her resignation as ambassador in 2018 and amid rumors that she could possibly replace Mike Pence as Donald Trump's running mate back in 2020. Haley is followed by 2 senators, Ted Cruz from Texas and Josh Hawley from Missouri. Cruz, the runner-up in the 2016 Republican primary, is a nationally recognized politician that has struggled with likability issues throughout his entire career. Still, a talented politician and a fierce conservative, he could certainly find a lane to the nomination if he is to throw his hat back in the ring. Hawley is the Republican counterpart to Joe Kennedy, young, popular, and ambitious. There's a significant chance that Hawley could gain enough momentum to catapult him to the nomination. And coming in at number 5 is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is expected to win re-election to a second term as governor of Florida this coming Tuesday. Now keep in mind that he has held, despite numerous controversies regarding his handling of the coronavirus pandemic back in 2020, he has maintained relatively high approval ratings throughout his entire first term in office. That being said, with more name recognition on the national stage, DeSantis certainly could find a path to the nomination in the Republican primary and is seen by a lot of panelists and experts as a serious contender for the 2024 Republican nomination. In the next batch, we have Florida Senator and 2016 candidate Marco Rubio at 7%, followed by Donald Trump Jr. at 5%, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton at 5%, Fox TV host Tucker Carlson at 4%, and Texas Congressman Dan Crenshaw at 2%. Rubio was the young fresh face in 2016 that Hawley likely will be in 2024. Trump Jr. will be running on his father's name and presidency, which could both benefit and derail his potential campaign. Cotton, also young, could be a dark horse candidate for the nomination if he plays his cards right, while Tucker Carlson could also fit into the dark horse category. And then there's Dan Crenshaw, often characterized as the future of the Republican Party. He is the right's newest young star in Congress and offers a vision for the party somewhere between Trumpism and never Trumpism. But it's not easy walking that line in a political campaign. So if he is to announce his run for the White House, we will see how that works out. The first Democrat to announce their candidacy for the 2024 presidential campaign is the 41-year-old senator from Massachusetts, Joe Kennedy, the grandson of Bobby Kennedy. He is widely regarded as a rising star in the Democratic Party. Having only been a senator for a little under 2 years, however, he'll have to overcome calls for inexperience in what is sure to become an increasingly crowded primary over the coming months. Nonetheless, he's almost sure to be one of the youngest in the field, looking to capture and sustain excitement among younger voters, with the primaries still over a year away. We have our first Republican candidate in the 2024 race, with the governor of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker, announcing his campaign today. Baker announced earlier this year that he would not be running for re-election to a third term as governor of Massachusetts in the 2022 midterms, prompting immediate speculation that he would run for the Republican nomination for president instead. Baker is arguably the most popular governor in the United States, enjoying sky-high approval ratings throughout much of his second term, with the highest approval rating among any governor in the United States from 2017 to 2019. A moderate, pro-choice Republican, Baker could be one of the most electable candidates in what is sure to become a packed primary season. A second blue state Republican governor has entered the race for the presidency today, as Maryland Governor Larry Hogan has announced his campaign in Baltimore. Similar to Baker, Hogan is one of the most popular governors in the country, but also decided not to run for a third term in this year's midterms. A moderate, Hogan will contend with Baker for similar demographics within the party throughout this primary process. Stacey Abrams, a former state senator from the state of Georgia and fierce voting rights activist, who is consistently lauded as a possible running mate for 2020 Democratic nominee Joe Biden, has announced her candidacy for President of the United States today. Losing in the highly controversial Georgia 2018 governor race, Abrams will have to answer questions about her little experience in government. Nonetheless, Abrams will be looking to establish herself on a national stage, paving a path to the nomination throughout the South. Billionaire owner of the NBA franchise, the Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban, has announced his candidacy for the President of the United States today as a Democrat. In a home video posted on his various social media accounts, Cuban stressed the importance of turning the chapter on partisan, divisive political tactics. A socially liberal, fiscally conservative, who has been consistently critical of current and past political leaders, especially Donald Trump, Cuban long considered a run as an independent in the 2020 presidential election, but ultimately decided against it. Cuban joined Senator Joe Kennedy and Stacey Abrams in the early field for the Democratic nomination. And taking a look now at the 2024 field on both the Democrat and Republican sides at the end of November. It is November 30th, 2022. And so far in the Democratic field, we have Senator Joe Kennedy from Massachusetts, we have Stacey Abrams from Georgia, and we have Mark Cuban, the billionaire owner of the Dallas Mavericks. As for the Republicans, we have the Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker and the governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan. A lot of candidates are still yet to announce on both the Democratic side and the Republican side, and in the next video, we will have a lot of heavyweights starting to announce their candidacies for the 2024 field. Stay tuned for a lot more episodes to come, including debates, more polls, and eventually primaries and caucuses that you guys will be able to vote on. So make sure you subscribe in order to see that, as well as like the video. And thank you guys all so much for watching. Tune in next time.